if Myles Garrett's playing and he's coming off a Telfort or whomever they're playing at right tackle, you have to think that, Steno and LaFleur are going to think seriously. Let's do 3 quick throws and get the hell out of here.
Good chance of that. Good chance, very good chance of that. Could be 2 runs and a quick slant and get them off. Now, if I had to take a guess, Myles Garrett probably won't play, but there are other good players on that defense. They do have a good rotation of defensive linemen on the Browns. Their defense is really good. So even if Myles Garrett doesn't play, the backup guys are very good. So it's going to be a good test for Green Bay's offense. So, I have no problem with them playing. My only concern with it is how bad the offense has been during camp. Are we going to see an absolute disaster out there, on Saturday, which I'm hoping it's not. But I think they need this. I think they need a little pressure. I think they need to go out there and try to get things working against a different style of defense, because obviously against our defense, which is, hey, hats off to our defense, it hasn't been going well.
So, Jason, would you agree? So Brian and I are both coming at this. We're reading. We're taking in all the information. You're there. Is the offense just getting its, tail kicked? And is that something that you think is part of this plan, is we need to build some confidence? We're not executing at anywhere near the level we need to during camp.
Well, I'm going to just bypass the easy, they're not as bad as Iowa's offense joke. I'm going to move right past that and say that there have been the defense has been much better than the offense. There's no denying that. And I think it has now extended past the point where you would say, well, the defense is always ahead of the offense early in camp because, as you said yesterday, Tausch, one guy screws up and the whole thing can be messed up, right? And so it does take time. The offense has had its wins. A lot of wins in one-on-one, both in terms of pass protection and one-on-one passing routes. They've had success in the red zone. Grant Dubose had a really nice touchdown catch yesterday. We've talked a lot the last couple of days about Romeo Doubs and what he's been able to do in the red zone. They have had some success in 2-minute, but not a lot. So you put that all together, and they have had some, but it's been limited success. Now, here's my question for Brian. What the hell is the point of playing, guys, if you're going to do 3 quick get-the-ball-out plays and then get them out of there? Isn't that just the same as not playing them? Because here's what I want to know, Brian. One of the things that LaFleur emphasized to us yesterday, and I used it in my story in the State Journal, is that he says there's value to getting ready for a game. And I swear, and tell me if I'm imagining this, but I swear there were times when McCarthy dressed all of you guys, and then you guys went through warm-ups, and then none of you played. I'm not right. Didn't that happen once or twice? Right?
Yep.
So it helped me understand what the value is there, because even if it's only 3 plays, like you said, maybe there is value and I'm just missing it.
Yeah, for me, I think it's good to go through a pregame warm-up, your whole pregame routine, and take some snaps. Now, I guess that was maybe always the offensive lineman's inside joke was like, hey, 3 quick plays, let's get off the field, and it turned into a 10-play drive, and you're like, what the heck is going on here? And we would be telling Aaron, hey, dude, just get rid of the ball. Hand it off or get rid of the ball, and then he's running 7-step routes with Jordy down the field, and you're like, come on. What is going on here? But it's good to kind of get those pregame or preseason jitters out because, if you just go into week 1 without taking the field one time, there's some extra nerves there. So I always found it somewhat beneficial to go out there in the preseason and take some reps and some snaps because you get that nervousness and you feel that energy. You understand that. You go through the first play without going through the first play in week 1 of the regular season. You get that first play out of the way in preseason. Now, it may be against the twos or whoever the defense has out there, but it's just to get the nerves out. So, listen, me and Tausch can crack the joke I hope it's just 3 quick throws and they're out of there. It'll be a little bit more than that, obviously, unless they go 3 and out. But it's just to get guys, just some reps to get the nerves out. And that's the way I looked at it. I remember LaFleur's first year, we didn't take any reps, and all of a sudden we go up to Baltimore, and we show up to the stadium, and LaFleur lets us know, like, hey, you guys are playing. And we looked at Stenham like, are we really playing? He's like, yeah, you guys are playing. Mm-hmm. And we were like, okay, well, I guess we got to get ready. So, go through warm-ups. And I remember the one Aaron played like a series at all. I think he played a series. And the O-line stayed out there for, I think, 2 quarters. And we were out there for like almost a whole half. And we were not expecting it, but it was really good for us. Like, it was a good thing to go out there and take those reps against Baltimore, had all their guys out there. Baltimore played all their starters. So it was a good thing for us to kind of work through it. And with the backup quarterback, that year, who was the backup quarterback in 19, Jason? Was it Tim Boyle?
So
was it Boyle?
In that opening, or in that game, the quarterbacks, so I don't know if I have to look up if Rodgers actually like played and handed off, but the quarterbacks for that game that you're thinking of, Tim Boyle, Deshaun Kaiser, and Marcus Wilkins.
Okay, so it was Kaiser. Kaiser was the guy who took a lot of, I think Aaron played the first series and then he was done. And then it was Kaiser, I think. I'm pretty sure. Maybe Aaron.
So they've got, I think what they might have done, and I think this goes to our point that we were having earlier, I think they had him go through warm-ups and made everybody think he was going to play. And then he didn't. Because here's what's amazing. His numbers dropped, Rodgers did, throughout his time with McCarthy, right? He did not play a single preseason snap under LaFleur. 19, 21, 22, never played a snap. In 20, you guys obviously, well, you were with the Chargers, but we had the pandemic. We didn't have preseason. But compare that to what Love did last year, and then now I'm curious what you think when I give you these numbers, what you think we should expect this year. Because Love basically said at his locker yesterday that the hope is that they play well enough that they don't have to play in the last 2 games, which is really weird because I would think you'd want to play closer to the game that counts as opposed to farther away from the game that counts. But last year in preseason, Jordan Love's snap counts were 12 at Cincinnati in the opener, 18 against New England, and 28 in the preseason finale against Seattle. But he had not accomplished anything yet either, like he did last year in the second half of the season. So now with that information, does that change any of your expectation at all?
To me, it would seem like they'd want to get him the most reps in preseason 3. And back in the old days when there was 4 preseason games, the big preseason game was always the 3rd game. That's when all the starters normally ended up playing the full half or whatever it may be. That was really the dress rehearsal, was preseason 3. I'd be okay if Love played a series Saturday and then played another series, the second preseason game, that maybe did, 2 to 3 or a full quarter in the last preseason game to prime him for Brazil. That'd be the way I'd look at it. But obviously, the joint practices are going to have an impact on his preseason snaps, right? If the joint practices go really well for the offense, you may not see the starting offense out there at all. Maybe a couple guys here and there, maybe some of the O-linemen, but you won't see Love. So I think it's going to dictate a lot on how the offense does in the joint practices. Those are supposed to be, or at least the thought process is, those are supposed to be like the preseason game reps are in practice against the opposing team, because you're going ones versus ones. So that's supposed to replace that and kind of take away any risk of major injury, because there's no tackling, no things like that, but you're getting those reps against the ones. So I think it all just depends on how they do in joint practice. And if the joint practices go well for the offense, maybe we don't see Jordan Love that much. But since practice has gone, maybe I got to take back that it's gone really bad. Maybe because it hasn't gone.
No, you're not. You may have been a little bit too far down the road on how bad it's been, but not. No, I think it was fair. They have not. They've done more push-ups than the defense by tenfold. I think Jason, it's 10-1.
I would love for you to ask LaFleur what's through. So you're through 2 weeks, right? That's about where we're at. 2 and some change. What grade are you giving the offense at this point? What are you giving, and what do you think LaFleur says?
Yeah, I think it's probably a C minus.
Ooh.
I mean, based on what you told me how family night went, if we had a family night like that with McCarthy or with LaFleur year one,
right,
we would be getting reamed. We would be getting chewed out in the meeting rooms the next day or the following day, saying how bad this is. You guys are getting more work. We're not backing off you. You're getting more workload. I mean, we always looked at family night as an opportunity to kind of show the coaching staff, like, hey, we're primed and ready to go. Like, we've gone through a week and a half of camp. Yeah, we're humming. We're doing a good job. And if the family night performance is that bad, which, listen, you told me how it went. That doesn't sound good, because you could talk about the red zone that they scored a couple touchdowns. You got to get into the red zone. And if the 11-on-11 work, move the ball period was that bad, you're not getting into the red zone. So, like, that's a null and void, doesn't matter type of situation, right? Like, so to me, it sounds like the offense and the way LaFleur and probably Steno are thinking about this, they need to get work. They need to get work against opposing defenses, and that's probably going to be in at least preseason one until the joint practices roll along. At least would be my expectation.
Yeah, and the 2-minute drill going 4 and out. Like, I don't know. As long as I've done this, I've seen hundreds. Right, Tausch? I mean, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of practice 2-minute drills. I would say 5% max out of those hundreds and hundreds has the offense gone 4 and out. Like, they always pick up at least one first down, even if it's with a little help from the officials.
Yeah, got to get a first down. I mean, get a first down. Need 10 yards. Get the drive going. Like, and Tausch knows this really well. The most important play in a 2-minute drive is the first play. Yeah. You got to get going. You have to get a completion. You have to get guys, the defense, backing up. You have to get that tempo going. And if you can't even complete a ball in the first 2 downs, that's bad news in a 2-minute drill. Like, it's just it's not good.
So, like, playing soft coverage, if you get that rolling, it's kind of a nudge. It nudges you moving forward, and you don't. And I'm actually surprised when that happens. Usually, you reset. Just
run
say,
it back.
All right, you lost it, because especially an offensive coach, you don't want that taste in your mouth. So I do wonder, and I guess it's not fair on my count. I thought the defense has been winning. I didn't realize offensively, maybe it is Matt LaFleur and the staff just don't feel like this group is playing nearly where they need to be. And that's why they're throwing them out there this first week, because I would think you'd see some work in week 2, week 3, and then kind of dial it back, and you start pulling and prepping for heading down to Brazil.
All right, Brian, last thing on playing time, then we'll take a break, and then I want to get to tackle talk, because we've spent some time a little bit talking about swing tackle. I want to get to Zach Tom, who finally did some teamwork and admitted he was rusty, but also made sure that he went against Rashawn Gary in his first rep. So he wants to obviously get back in the swing of things. You were on the field in Pittsburgh on August 23rd, 2015, when Jordy Nelson tore his ACL. You guys had been a whisker away from a Super Bowl the previous year, and I still believe that if Jordy doesn't get hurt, that 15 team, which still made the playoffs, is a Super Bowl contender again. And instead, you guys were never the same after that. How much, I understand it's unlikely, but having experienced it yourself, that's where my helicoptery beat writer thing comes from. I remember being in a cab, being worried I wasn't going to get to the stadium before kickoff because I'd flown in day of the game. And then as soon as he went down and then we started to hear how bad it was, I thought, okay, they're screwed. And over a game that doesn't count. So this is all great. We got to get the offense going, everything else. But if that happens to a Romeo Dobbs or to a Josh Jacobs or, heaven forbid, a Jordan Love, that's why I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. And no one will ever convince me otherwise because I was there that day.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was a very dark day. I remember that very vividly. When you lose a guy like that, it just sucks the life out of a team, offense and defense, because you know the integral part that guy's going to play in the upcoming season. I think, listen, I mean, you're right. There's no other way to look around that, but like that the juice is not worth the squeeze. But listen, if the offense is really not performing the way you want it to, or it's not looking the way you want to, you got to find a way to get them out of the funk, right? Like,
that's fair.
And if that means giving them some reps in a preseason game, I'm all for it. But you have to balance who's taking those reps, how many reps, what routes you're running them in. Like, it's got to be scripted. Everything that you do in preseason, those plays that they run, I get it, you can't script everything, but it has to be really scripted to manage what guys are doing. Now, obviously, football is very unpredictable. Things can happen in the blink of an eye. I get it. But you have to manage the plays you're going to run. And I think that's, if you go into it knowing you're going to play starters, you have to kind of understand that, hey, let's not try to run routes that put guys in, like you said the other day in the family night with Watson, in danger of getting blown up or things like that. Let's make these very basic, simple day one plays and just get guys out there to feel comfortable. So that's the only way that I see this going for them. Because you're right. You lose a Dobbs or you lose a Jacobs. Like, it impacts your offense so much that it's hard to recover from. So you have to walk that line, and it's a tough line to walk, and every coach has to deal with it. But if the offense was doing what they were supposed to be doing through camp and performing the way they should have, this wouldn't even really be a discussion, most likely. No, right? There's a good chance that Love wouldn't even be considered to be thrown out there, and maybe a couple of the starters would take a series and they'd be done. But that's not the scenario they're in right now, unfortunately.
We need to get to the offensive line because Matt LaFleur is at the podium. He is talking about how Zach Tom looked and that one of their starters, according to the depth chart, suffered a shoulder injury in yesterday's practice. We'll tell you who that is and get to that. More with Bryan Bulaga next. It's Wilde and Tausch.